Divine rise, gods and goddesses. Hope you woke up. No, may you wake up and may you go through your day and through the rest of your week beautifully, divinely blessed as you get into yourself. We're going to get into self-care. And as you notice when you look in the description, how to put in parentheses diet or lifestyle. Because it's big on, a lot of us are dieting with our self-care and we're not actually embracing it with our lifestyle. So we're not receiving the full results that we strive for. The biggest thing about self-care is the word self. Of course, if you think about that. It's not really about the caring so much, that the caring coincides with the self. We have to start, again, breaking down a lot of the words that we use and the definitions and going away from the encompassing with things being bad or good. It's more like the polarities. So some things come on the negative end of the polarity, some things are positive. Everything has a negative and a positive charge to it anyway, to create it. So when I talk about self-care encompassing it in, I put it in like one easy way to put it together and then break it down is being selfish. And now everybody's like, oh my God, being selfish. Like, it's so bad being selfish. But you're selfish all the time. We're selfish all the time. We're selfish with our time. We're selfish with how we govern ourselves. We're selfish with our food. We're selfish with what we eat. We're selfish with when we go to work. We're selfish. By nature, and company that we're selfish. What we have to understand is why we're selfish and using that catalyst to take us to the next level. Being selfish is being selfish with my time in the aspect of, is it benefiting me to put my time into something else outside of me for certain periods of time? Being selfish is in the encompassing of, is what is my awareness to myself? Is this hurting me? Is it hindering me? Is it giving me life, or is it just prolonging death? Is it just keeping me in the same circle? That's what I mean about being selfish. We have to start being selfish. We have to start being selfless to ourselves and more selfish to others in the aspect of, I can't go with you to the club every night. I'm not going to go with you to this venue or this place every morning because I have to be up in the morning. We spend so much time trying to control ourselves based on others' reactions, when we should be controlling our reactions based on other people's moves. Biggest thing about it. So are you dieting with your life, or are you encompassing and submerging yourself into a lifestyle for yourself? The biggest aspects of a diet is you put together a plan, and usually once you reach a certain goal or you plateau to a certain space, what happens? You stop. You go back to what you were doing before, even more than before. And the reason why we go back to what we went by to more than before is because, like, okay, cool, I'm considering this my cheat day. One of the biggest things with understanding between diet and lifestyle, when it's a lifestyle, you realize that you don't have all the answers and you don't know everything. With a diet is more constricting because it puts you within a box of, I know this, and this, and this, and this. But the things that you know will be detrimental to your lifestyle. Someone told me that if I eat a little less of this, if I take in a little less of this, I'll be okay. Poison is poison regardless, no matter how much you take in. If you dose yourself with an ounce of poison every single day, but if you take something that, we'll use an energy drink, for example. It's full of sugar, empty calories, if it has any calories. And you know if you take it, what happens? You have energy for that moment of the time. We'll use 5-hour energy. You have energy sustained for about 5 hours. But after that, You feeling sluggish, you don't need another one. That's what I consider diet. Anything diet is not being fully aware of what you really need for yourself and tune to yourself. Because with a diet is usually put together fundamentally based off a certain set of algorithms and paradigms to take you to a certain space, and then you have to do either add more or take away more. That's what a diet is. So what's your lifestyle? How are you encompassing and growing into your lifestyle? That's what the self-care comes into. Self-care is acknowledging the things that came into your life that made you who you were. I ask you a question. I'm going to ask everybody a question. Who are you before pain? Who are you before that breakup? Who are you before you got that job? Who are you before you lost that job? These are the things we have to start thinking about. Who are you before you started school? Who are you? We're going to go even further back. Who are you before the coming into the world? When you were a baby. Let's say when we were babies. When we were young, we needed our mother figures, whoever raised us at that time. Who were you before then? That's what shapes our ego, is what started us. So when I ask you, what were you before the pain, you can easily say you were happy. I wasn't as sad. I wasn't as in a state of disarray all the time. So take that thought process, let's take it even deeper. The person you are now is your lower self. That's the surprise. That's the most simplest way to put it. The person you are now is your lower self. The person you are now is your ego. You're your ego, right? You're your ego. You're not who you need to be to get to your higher level. You're not who you need to be to take yourself to your higher plateau. Right now, you are your ego. Right now, we are a bunch of, I can't do that because I have a family. I can't do this because I got bills to pay. I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because of this. We're a bunch of that. So, since that's your thought process, since that's many of our thought processes, we tend to sustain the little bit of the little bit of light that comes into our lives. So we're basically living a diet life. We're taking on just enough to take us to our next day. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I understand the living by the moment, but the only way you can live by the moment is once you start understanding what moments you are willing to live for. Where are you willing to take yourself? How do you want to get there? I said that before in the last video that we nice conversation that we had. I was talking about the way you survive is detrimental to how you are going to grow, because it's big on that. Where are you going next in your life? Why are you plateauing at this certain space? Is it because you're embracing your lifestyle and who you are? Or are you popping diet pills, so to speak, on the history of what someone told you are? So how deep does it go for you? Our growth is our greatest achievement. Our evolution is our greatest achievement. So if you're living within the constraints of diet life rather than embracing your entire life, you're automatically going to create cheat days. Instead of actually admitting, damn, I fell off. You see it? You see how the difference with that is? When you have a diet, usually diets can propose like every other weekend or Saturday or whatever day in the week. You know, you set your diet up. You have a cheat day. On that cheat day, you do whatever you want. Then you go back to your diet. The more cheat days that you acquire, you're only cheating yourself. So if I sit here and I had a cheat day, like every Saturday is my cheat day, and I'm gonna go eat fried cheesecake, and then Monday I'm gonna go start going back to work out again, getting back to my grind. Every Saturday is going to seem easier than every Monday. Remember what I said about romanticizing your life? When you start embracing a lifestyle change for yourself, you don't need the cheat days anymore. Because you start encompassing and understanding the things that I put into my life are bettering me for my lifestyle. They're going to have benefits. They're going to take me to the next level even when I'm not doing it. That's what I mean about discipline. A lot of these words, people say discipline or you got to do your daily mantras. Everything is created by you in your own mind. So whatever discipline that you decide to set for yourself, as long as it's healthy, I'm going to support. That's what I'm saying to myself. You say that to yourself. If I'm going to do this and take myself into this thing, into this deeper part of myself, I'm going to set this time aside for me to research. I'm going to set this time aside to study. I'm going to set this time aside to meditate. I'm going to set this time aside to write down my dreams. I'm going to set this time aside to set myself up for success. You got to start looking at your star player. You're your star player. You're your number one player. You're your number one fan. You're your number one. You got to start treating yourself as your own contained entity. That's that self-sufficiency. Sometimes we start to put ourselves into a position where we're looking for outside opinions to make us go forward. That's part of that diet life. Girl, I'm feeling a little good. Yo, dude, I'm feeling a little bit fresher. That's that vanity that kicks into us. Because we want to look a certain way in front of certain people. We don't want to look too offish. If a person calls you weird, crazy, weird, you ain't all there, embrace that. I didn't do what I'm doing to fit into any mold that was created before me. I'm actually trying to change myself to the highest form of myself. I'm trying to go to my higher self. I can't go to my higher self following the trends of others. I can't embrace myself following the thought process of others that is not conducive to me. We are the avatar. We control the avatar. We control the vehicle that takes us on our destination. We foresee the destination. We foresee ourselves getting higher. We foresee ourselves getting better. That's us. We're our own saviors. Waiting for someone else to come into your life to save you, to make you happy, to make you put you at peace, to put you at ease, is basically prolonging death at itself, at its greatest form. That's when you prolonging death to yourself. Because you should be reflecting your happiness. You should be reflecting your peace. There's a lot of people that are in my life. There are a lot of things that used to be in my life that I used to love in my life. I used to have around my life just because I wanted the attention. But as I became more aware, and as I become more aware, I start to realize, like, I don't need anything disturbing my peace. My most important thing is my peace and my own happiness. How I'm achieving my peace and happiness, how I'm achieving my peace and happiness is based upon how I'm getting to know myself. So, ask again, who are you before your pain? Who are you before that horrible, that traumatic event that set you into the spiral of where you're at now? Are you coping or are you repairing? Biggest thing, are you coping or are you repairing? Sometimes we put ourselves into a thought process of, let me find something to numb this pain. Let me find something to take this pain away. There are many different drugs. A lot of those don't realize that. We're like, I don't do drugs. You don't realize how many different drugs and vexes and vices there are. You can be addicted to work, so you're never home. The same way you can be addicted to smoking some weed and taking yourself to a higher level of relax through the world. Turning that bottle up is same thing as similar as going to the gym and working out for 6 hours a day. 2 hours, you're doing your 2 a days. That's a drug. Everything's a drug. In this realm that we're in, this realm that they call Earth, it's a realm of addiction. The thing we need to understand is not the addiction itself, but why are we addicted to it? Why are we using it? What catalyst and why are we using that as the conduit that we're using it as? The more we start understanding the depths of the things that we do and why we do it and where we're at while we're doing it, that's how we get deeper into self-care for ourselves. You can walk into a whole space. And be like, okay, cool. I got my candles lit, my incense lit, my house is clean, nice, and it's spotless in here. But what about that cabinet over there that you never go into? That junk drawer? These spaces that you have created that no one can see. Sometimes we make ourselves common area clean. We don't do a real deep in-depth to ourselves. We do a common area fix. So we make all the spaces that can be seen look nice and pristine and pretty and perfect. But we never work on ourselves. We never work on the depths of it. Eventually, if you keep throwing into a space and not doing the proper disciplines to self-clean yourself, that stuff will start to overflow. Because how you're seen is only the first layer. How we're seen is only our first layer. How we are conveyed and seen is only the first layer. But what happens when you meet somebody? Or you start going around certain things, and you start growing. And you start wanting to let people in. You don't expect someone to have you go through hoops and ladders and a bunch of barriers to get to them, so why should they do it to you? That's what I mean about being selfish. We gotta work on ourselves first. In this world of instantaneous notoriety, that's what we need to get back to first, is ourselves first. Who are you before your pain? Who are you before that last breakup? Who are you before you lost your house or you lost your car, or you lost something that you felt near and dear to you at that point in time? Who were you before that space? These are the things we got to start looking at, because if we're not having these conversations with ourselves, we can't have these conversations with others. Therefore, we can't grow. We become stagnant. We start sustaining the good parts and never working on the bad parts. How can you expect somebody to come around you and say, I want to make it, I want to make my life better, and I want to grow with you, I want to evolve with you, if you haven't done the groundwork for yourself first? So now you're expecting that person to do the groundwork with you and for you? You're expecting somebody to come into your life and accept you as you are, which we're supposed to accept everything. That's part of the growth process. But if you're going to wear it as a badge of honor You gotta remember I went through a lot of pain. You gotta remember I went through this. You gotta remember men ain't supposed to cry. You gotta remember I was hurting for a long time. How long are you gonna hold on to that and use that as a crutch? Most times people love the attention from the negative that they keep themselves in a constant state of negative because they enjoy the attention from being helped in that way. But I give you a thought process. If you go to a restaurant, if one person said they had a good experience at a restaurant and they tell one person, okay, now two people come to that restaurant. But if a person has a bad experience at a restaurant and they go out, they're guaranteed to go tell 4 people. Those 4 people are going to go tell another 4 people. So now the perception of that space, based upon the people's perception of what they want, has changed. Same thing with you. If you put yourself in a space where you haven't worked on yourself and people start seeing you in that light, and everybody has the same conduit and the same story about you, how do you expect to go forward? So who are you before your pain? Are you dieting just to get enough through to sustain, to keep yourself in a sustain? Or are you opening yourself up to a higher lifestyle for yourself? Take this into consideration when you wake up for the next couple of days. Got a nice little exercise I perform once a month. At least once a month. Take your phone, mute all the notifications for all your social media, and don't text anybody. Do it day by day. I never say this is a week challenge. Do it day by day. All the time that you spend on your social media, of course not after this, do it after this video, of course, because I just told you the video. Take that time that you usually spend on Facebook, going through your feed, on Instagram, looking at, taking selfies or playing with the filters, on Snapchat, on Twitter, on whatever social media account, or whenever time you spend their text messages. Take that time to meditate. Take that time for self-reflection and self-realization. Don't text anybody. Don't call anybody. Outside of the people that, if you have business, you have to take care of. Of course, take care of business. But I'm speaking into the instance of, you're the one that usually sends out the grand rising or the good rising text messages every day. You're the one that initiates the conversations to ask people how they're doing. Don't do it. Send a message to you. Tell yourself that every morning. Start a day. Take it to another day. Take it to another day. Take it to another day. After about the 4th day, when I do this, I noticed something. I'm usually the one that's always initiating. Pretty deep. Think about it. You're the one that always initiates. So that's a part of your self-care. You're initiating with others outside of you. When are you going to initiate with yourself? When are you going to start doing it for yourself? Making yourself the example. Absence. If someone's absence doesn't take away from your peace, it adds to it. That's when you start knowing you're going to make that distance. If your happiness is always coming second to somebody outside of you, that's when you need to start making that separation. Self-realization is understanding that there might be some toxic qualities about myself. There may be some things about myself that I need to work on. So when are you going to take the time to do it? If you're spending your entire life, the more, this is something to think about, and it's not for everybody, but if this message is hitting you, then let it marinate. If you sit here and you spend your entire life, your entire day from waking up to going to sleep, helping other people, but you never take time for yourself, what are you running away from? What is hindering you from helping yourself the way you help everybody else? That's what I mean by self-care. That's what I mean by lifestyle. See, you're dieting by helping everybody else out. Giving people rides, giving out loans, cooking food for other people, helping other people get their lives in order. That's dieting, because you're taking aspects of yourself, the stuff you should be working on in your lifestyle to get yourself to the next level, and you're putting it into other people's lives. So you're now supplementing yourself out as a diet plan. Because now that person has a little bit of outside of them. They have a nice diet pill that they can, your diet pill or their diet drink that they can drink, and they can get themselves to their next level. But when it comes down to you, who's doing it for you? That's a reflection of who you are and where you're going next in your life. So when you're doing that, you're now whittling yourself away to help everybody else out. It's starting to be more selfish. And as you're understanding, as you're listening to this, you're like, being selfish isn't that bad. Taking that time to yourself, waking up in the morning, I'm taking my morning to sip my tea. I'm taking my morning to exfoliate my face and take care of my hair. You do it anyway. But are you doing it for the purpose of appeasing everybody else, or are you doing it for yourself? That's what we mean by diet versus lifestyle. Self-care. Self-care is realizing that sometimes you have to say no. If you're saying no to yourself more than you're saying no to others, you need to change that. Why are you saying no so much to yourself, but you're saying yes to everybody else? Because you're trying to appease outside of you. You're hoping that if you say yes to everybody else and you keep saying no to yourself, eventually somebody comes around, they start saying yes to you. Which comes into a reflection, that means you're going to be handled. Think about that. You're going to be handled. Because just because somebody says no to me, it's not the end of the world. Just because somebody says, I don't have time, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. If I say no to somebody, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. I just said no at that particular time because I have to work on me. Hey, girl, let's go out. Nah, I think I'm going to stay back. I'm going to sip a glass of wine at the house and I'm going to get some stuff organized. Got to start getting my life in order. Girl, you ain't no fun anymore. Yo, we got to go out to this club, man. You going out, man. You know the hoes gonna be out there, ladies gonna be out there popping. Nah, I'm done with hoes. I need something more sustainable. I'm looking for a queen. I'm looking for a goddess I can worship. We'll get deeper into that in another video. I'm looking for a goddess I can worship and she worship me as her God. I'm looking for a queen to build an empire with, to convey the message, convey the energy, and reflect what the feminine energy to the king. That's self-care. The more you start working on yourself and you start saying that you want to work on yourself and take yourself and make yourself better, it's almost instantaneous what comes first. And everybody expects the good to come first instantaneously when you start saying you want to work on yourself. But the problem is you're creating a clean slate. If anybody's looked at a chalkboard in a classroom, even if you hit it with the eraser, there's still chalk residue on the chalkboard. So when you're cleaning that slate, you have to look at what was on that slate before it. What was written on it before it? What was on your slate before it? That's your barometer of where you're going to go next. We got to go backwards to go forward because it's a circle. It's a whole circle. It's a circle effect. Life is a spiral. I read that a long time ago. Life is a spiral staircase. You're going to keep going around repeating certain things in your life until you get the deeper meaning or get to the right meaning of that, whatever it was. That's what being self-care is. You're going to keep going around the same things until you learn how to walk away from them. So if you're going around the same people and you're not getting any growth or anything out of it to make yourself better, then what are you really doing? What are you really asking yourself for? We have to stop this, instead of this self-afflicting and self-annihilating and self-hurting ourselves, we got to start promoting self-love and self-realization. We got to start asking ourselves what all the traumas that are really taking us to where we're at. All this goes deeper into itself because we got to know ourselves. We have to stop knowing ourselves based on, once again, the narrative of others. What other people have told us, what other people have taught us, what other people have indoctrinated us in. Later on in the day, I'm going to post a video that it's a small clip. Brother Panic talks in like who was the first mind control, who was the first facilitator. It is talking about who your mother is, and usually that's the first maternal figure is the person that sets that that conveys into your ego. But we have to start programming our darker self, which is our subconscious. We have to start getting back into our sucking place and reprogramming it. That's the deepest part of self-care. We can't put ourselves into a position where we're sitting here, oh, that's too hard. It's only hard if you say it's going to be hard. You say it's hard, it's going to be hard. You say it's easy, it's going to be easy. You say it's scary, it's going to be scary, but then it's going to continue to be scary. Because you're chiming into the fear part of it. You have to start chiming into our love of self-care, not the fear of self-care. The diet is fear. The diet have us taken on just enough to make us okay. The love, that's our lifestyle. What do you embrace as your lifestyle? What do you want to change in your life and evolve to? That's the key of self-care. Then you go to self-realization, and you're going to ride that wave. The anger is going to lead to sadness because you're going to be sad that you allowed yourself to go through those things. And then you're going to get sad. Then you're going to laugh at the fact that, damn, I really allowed myself to go through that stuff that I was angry about. And then you're going to go to happiness. And then you're just going to grow and grow and grow. That's what self-care is, getting self-realization and self-awareness, to taking yourself to your highest self. Removing everything that made you who you are now. Removing this, finally taking that mask off. The first person you take that mask off to is the man in the mirror. The first person you take that mask off is to the woman in the mirror. The first person you take that mask off is to that queen in the mirror. Can you take off that mask, your crown shows. Because right now when you put that mask on, it covers up your crown, it covers up you. It covers up the beauty that is you. Without any self-care, you'll be looking for other people to tell you that you're beautiful. Without self-care, you want everybody to tell you that you're fresh and you fly. Because you're looking for somebody else. You're looking for something outside of you to give you self-validation. No one can self-validate you. That's the first key word of that is self. You must validate yourself. You must make yourself fall in love with yourself. Make yourself. Put yourself at peace. The things that you got to remove, you know what you got to remove to put yourself at peace. You know what the things you got to remove to put yourself in happiness. And if you don't, that's when you got to start doing that shadow work I talked about. Everybody expects shadow work. Oh, that sounds so dark. Guess what? That's you. Oh, shit. No. I ain't mean to turn around. I'm sorry. I ain't mean to turn around and hit the button. That's you. The shadow work is working on the self that you are now to take off the mask and no longer need it. To be able to hang that mask on the wall. And we'll get deeper into the invoking certain energies. And you put that mask on the wall and you can look at that mask every day. You look in that mirror first and you're like, oh my God, I'm the God in the mirror. I'm the goddess in the mirror. I'm no longer that man of my past. I'm no longer that woman of my past. I'm no longer that child that I was sustained in. I'm no longer that man. I'm now a child learning from myself. I'm now a young goddess. I'm now a young God. Because we're higher than gods. We're higher than goddesses. We are what we are what the universe is made of. The universe is made of melanin. Last time I checked, I see a bunch of beautiful queens walking around with shirts that say melanin popping. So if I'm made of the universe, that means I'm always on top. I'm always on point. How do I get to that point where I can sustain that and stay on point? It is okay to fall off. That's part of the fun, actually, to fall off. But it's what are you falling off from? Are you falling off from the old paradigms and the old things that took you where you were at? That's part of the fun. That's the fun part of falling off for me. I fell off. People said, "Hey, yo, man, you disappeared." Yeah, I fell off. I went ghost. Of course I'm gonna go ghost because I'm no longer the energy. I'm no longer in the body of the energy that I was. So of course I went ghost. But I lined myself up to my higher self, and I ain't never felt better. And I love the self-care. Cleansing that, I cleansed the hell out of my throat chakra to be able to bring this to you. My heart's on point. My throat chakra is apparently strong because the energy and the spirit is talking to me. That's inside of me. My own energy is talking to you and conveying this message to you. That's the highest point of self-care. You'll know when you get to a certain point with yourself, when you get to your higher self, when you're able to start sharing what you know. But here's the thing about sharing what you know. You're not sharing it to convince. You're sharing it because you're sharing it to plant that seed. The more you get into loving yourself, the less you hate others. I'm not going to say you necessarily like others, but you're not going to want that energy in your life. So if I don't hate you, but I don't like you, that means you're not reflective of anything within me. That's all that means because it's positive and negative. Hate would be the negative, love would be the positive. Anywhere in between that would be the neutral space. So if you're not reflecting anything to me, I won't gravitate towards you. So you're in a neutral space with me. The things that no longer serve me any purpose, I don't necessarily hate. I just dislike them because they're no longer needed for me. A lot of that comes from sustaining on the memories. So, where were you before your pain? Where were you before the pain? Think about that. Self-care, self-realization, self-love. I love myself, therefore I love you. I want to grow an understanding about myself, so I want to grow an understanding about you. This is the conversation with that man and that woman in the mirror. That God or goddess, when you sitting there laying there in bed, or you laying there and you putting yourself together for the day. These are the things you start speaking to yourself as you're doing your meditations and you get into your disciplines. Start speaking life into yourself. Start speaking love into yourself. That's what we need to get to. Is start speaking love into ourselves first. And then everything that reflects around us is going to only share that and going to magnify that. And let's get back to self-love and self-care, self-visualization. Everybody around them is selfish about themselves, and you think that is bad because they don't care about you. You don't need them to validate you. All you need is yourself. It starts with self, and everything is a reflection of around that. Once you get into tune with yourself and loving yourself, your vibration rises, and you go around others that are loving themselves. So everybody becomes a reflection. So it's a bunch of mirrors around you, everybody reflecting, conveying the same message and going higher. These are the things we need to start working on. Put down that diet life and pick up a tall bottle of that alkaline life. I love y'all. Let's rise.